Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the last and final Koze Daily Brew. I hope you guys have been enjoying the whole series, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me all month, by the way. If you haven't seen all of them, I have made them into an entire playlist so you guys can binge them. I'll put them all over somewhere up on the screen. And also too, if you guys have any gist related, planning related, all that good stuff requests for September's season, which will be the third season of Koze Daily, leave them down below. They're all gonna be, I can't explain to you exactly how they're gonna be themed yet, but they're all gonna be very like planner themed or planning themed or just themed. So just let me know if you guys have anything under that umbrella that you guys want to see more of, talk about more of in season 3 of Koze Daily Brew. But today, for the last and final episode, I figured I would talk about something that hits a little closer to home. I'm just gonna like openly just word vomit about my biggest insecurity. I've seen the whole video trend before of my insecurities, and I thought that I would do one at one point, but instead I figured for today's video, I took this topic as a request, but instead of doing all of my insecurities, I figured it would be kind of better to just deep dive into my biggest insecurity, because then we can, I don't know, deep dive into it more. Also too, in case any of you guys out there that relate to this, and also because in a lot of ways it actually does connect to even just you and I sitting here chatting right now, because this insecurity has not only affected me in my personal life, it hasn't only just affected me in my childhood, but it has also affected me even to date in terms of how I interact with you guys online and all of that good stuff. So what is my biggest insecurity? Well, my biggest insecurity in a lot of ways is annoying people. Let me just explain that a little bit further. It's not just like annoying people in the sense of like poking somebody and bothering them. I mean like when I'm just being myself, when I'm just like living my life, trying to be a happy person, and it bothers somebody else or it annoys somebody else for whatever reason, I get really self-conscious. And because of that, I think throughout my life, I've become very self-aware, almost to a fault, where I'm like always aware of what I'm doing and saying, and always aware of the people around me and how I'm affecting them, because I'm so afraid to annoy them. So this is something that is pretty deeply rooted, I would say, into my childhood. That sounds really dramatic. It doesn't need to be, but let me explain how. So I'm a middle child. Not that that has too much relevance, but it does have some relevance here. So I'm a middle child, and growing up in general, my house was a great house to live in. I had great childhood memories, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to paint everything in one color. But that said, growing up, there's just some things that affected me as an individual. And one of them was the constant feeling that whenever I was really happy or really excited, or being really like loud and weird in whatever kind of way, and just like enjoying myself in any kind of way, the minute that I got kind of like reprimanded for that, or in trouble for that, or just brushed off to the side or ignored in any kind of way, I felt like I was an annoyance. And this also just stems too from being a younger sibling. I know for a lot of my life, I was super annoying to my older sister, just constantly trying to get in on her life because I thought she was just like the coolest person ever. Still do. Although our dynamic is different now. Now that we're older, we're best friends, but I'm talking like we had a 5 years apart. So when she was like 15 and she had turned into a teenager, and I was like 10, and I was just like, I want to hang out with you and all your cool teenage friends, she would like brush me off. Not only that, all of my cousins were older than me, and then there was a pretty big age gap between me and my brother. So I was always trying to hang out with like my older cousins and my sister, and then I, being the youngest one, obviously you're the one that's just like told to like get lost. And so that, by the way, in case any of my cousins or my sister watch this video, is not why I am this way. I'm just further explaining just like how this kind of came to be in my life. So that is like a smaller scale of it. The bigger scale of it was definitely more so the relationship that I would say I had with like a specific individual in my life who was dealing with their own issues and their own problems, but as a kid you don't know that. And so when I was like just like outwardly, I guess, expressing myself is the perfect way to say it. When I was expressing myself authentically, whether that meant I was being weird one day, whether that meant I was excited one day, or even if that meant I was sad one day, whatever emotion I had, whenever it felt like the way I felt or the way I was or the way I was just being was an annoyance to somebody, it really just like triggered me, and I would get really self-conscious, and I would just want to like disappear and evaporate. So this ended up leading into my school years as well, where it basically became this over self-conscious thing of mine where I would be afraid to like speak up at certain times. I'd be afraid to actually say what was on my mind. I'd be afraid to get up and just like, you know, present something or whatever, because I would be so afraid that my perspective on something wouldn't be the same as everybody else's, and so my outlook or my excitement about something or whatever it was would just be an annoyance. There was no justification for this, by the way. I'm not saying that that was actually true. I'm just saying that throughout a lot of my life, I've basically ingrained it into myself that I'm an annoyance, and so for that reason, I get really self-conscious when I go to do anything a little bit more extroverted, and I tend to be more introverted by nature because the only person I know for certain I don't annoy is myself. That's a lie, because there are times I annoy myself, but not in that kind of way, you know? So this greatly affected my self-esteem a lot growing up, and then it turned or kind of snowballed. I mean, there's more things that affect you in your life than just one thing in particular, but this was like one thing that I didn't realize which was such a big thing until I really started to talk to my therapist. And the more and more I do therapy, the more and more I'm kind of like revealing, I guess, this side of me that is so afraid to just be myself sometimes, because I'm afraid that I don't care if people make fun of me. I don't care if people see things differently than me, but I do care for some reason if I'm somehow annoying other people. Like if I'm affecting the mood of other people, especially if I'm just in a happy, good mood. So a good example of that would be like, let's say I am doing karaoke. I don't know where this example is coming from, but if I get up on stage and I was like singing karaoke and just having the best time, and for whatever reason, the way I look, the way I'm dressed, the way I'm having a good time, I can tell it's annoying somebody, I will completely shut down. Like I will try and hide, I will try and like evaporate into thin air and just like wiggle my way out of the situation, because I really get uncomfortable when I feel like I'm making other people uncomfortable. So how does that affect me now that I'm older? It's affected me in a lot of ways. I feel like there are so many times that I go to do something or I go to create something. It's crazy because in a lot of ways it's held me back, but in a lot of ways it also hasn't. But that said, I feel like there can sometimes be this disconnect in terms of how I am, I guess, and how I'm perceived. I don't think that makes sense, but let's just keep rolling with it. Basically what I'm getting at here is that there have been times where I've been filming a video and I've deleted massive chunks of it because I'm afraid that what I've said is going to annoy somebody, even if I stand by it. And that is just like, that's not even what I value. That's not even what I stand for. But I am like so cautious of bothering other people that it actually does. It makes me turn down the dial of me being myself. And then I become kind of like vanilla in a lot of ways. And by that I mean I think I take all of the things that make me a little different, a little unique, a little out there, and I kind of try and hide them a bit. And I hide them because I'm afraid that if I show them, it would be like almost like an open vulnerability for somebody to be annoyed or whatever. I'm not doing a good job at explaining this. I guess a specific example, okay? So when I vlog with you guys and when I film these videos, I'm chatty. I'm super chatty. And in general, in life, I am a pretty chatty person. If I know what I'm talking about, I will talk for hours. But depending on if you guys follow me on social media, on Instagram, you'll notice that my stories are never really me talking. The reason why is because even to this day, my Instagram when it originally started was my personal Instagram, and then I started up this YouTube channel and it did well, and then people started to trickle into my Instagram, but I also still had all of the, you know, friends and family and just people I knew from growing up. So it became this like big anxiety of mine every time I would go to promote like something I created online on my Instagram, because I felt like I was annoying the people that I knew before I ever did YouTube. And that just started to snowball and snowball and snowball into basically fearing that if I were to post a lot, if I were to post more than like one photo in a day or even a couple photos in a week, that if I were to like talk on Instagram stories, that the way that I spoke would annoy somebody, or it just basically turned into this big thing where I was so afraid of bothering other people that I would refrain from actually outwardly expressing myself. And that has gotten in my way a lot of the times in life, because then I play it safe. And okay, listen, I love my Instagram stories. I love a good moody Instagram. And so I'm not gonna, again, paint it all in that color, because I also too love sometimes just not having to talk and just like showing instead of saying. That said though, there are definitely times where I've gone to go try and make an Instagram story where I'm talking and I'm like, I can already see the millions of ways that it annoys other people because it even kind of annoys me, and then I just delete it. And it's just like this big self-conscious thing that I'm really insecure about, and it affects me even to this day. There are times that I have overcome it and I've pushed past it and I've just kind of like ignored those barriers or those walls and did it anyways. And even though there were a few people that may have been annoyed, I also can notice right away the feedback is that people feel more connected and what I'm doing, it seems more authentic, and I'm aware of that. But yet there's still times where I go to show up to do something, or even just in public where, you know, you're with a bunch of your friends and you're all having a good time and you're all laughing, but I'm sitting there and I'm like super aware of the fact that we might all be talking a little too loud and annoying the people next to us. And it's just become this, like, I guess, unhealthy habit of being way too aware of not annoying other people that I tend to forget even just the space that I am allowed to take up myself. Here's the thing about this though, the more and more I learn this about myself, the more I'm catching myself when I do it. And so anytime I'm around anyone in particular where I feel like my presence or my happiness in particular, because that's the most important one to me, it's not even necessarily if my presence is annoying other people because you can't really control that. But when I feel really happy and when I am like my weird wacky self, because I hide a lot, hide is not the word of choice I should have used there. I guess I don't openly show the weirder sides of myself online because I'm so afraid people aren't going to get my humor, or they're going to think that I'm being serious, or they're just going to be annoyed for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's just like this crazy concept I've created inside my mind. So whenever I show up to those times now and I think something's really funny and I want to post it, or I just felt like explaining something so I want to just say it, whatever it is. Whenever I've noticed those moments coming up and then I get really self-conscious and I almost see myself from like another person's perspective and I pick apart all my flaws, that is instantly just like where I try and cut in and I try and reiterate the fact that you are not an annoyance to other people, especially when you're happy. You being your most authentic self, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's got to be okay. The only person's cup of tea you need to be is your own. The worst thing that you could ever do is basically turn down the version of yourself and mask a lot of the things that you're trying to kind of hide away so that you're not making anyone else uncomfortable. As long as you're not hurting somebody at the end of the day, you should have all the permission in the world to just be you from yourself. You do not need the permission from anybody else. And if it bothers other people, all weekend there was like this big quote that I kept on saying that was like, what Susie says of Sally says more of Susie than it does of Sally. So if people are annoyed by who you are, annoyed by you being your authentic self, that says more about them than it does about you, especially if you're not hurting anybody, and especially if you're just an overall kind person. I think that there are definitely types of people in this world. I was watching Mad Men the other day, and there was this quote where she says to the main character, she's like, don't worry about it, like you'll be blah 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 by the end of the year. I won't ruin it for you guys. And he goes, what? And she goes, oh yeah, I forgot. People don't like to think that they're a type. It's true, we don't like to think that we're a type. And I'll even go as far as saying I don't even like thinking that I'm a certain type, but it turns out that I am. I'm the type that is sometimes kind of weird, and I'm the type that is sometimes kind of loud when I start talking and I get really passionate about things. And I'm the type to dance in public and not really care, and then later on see videos of myself dancing and then be like, ooh, I still don't care. Like, you have to basically train yourself not to care, because if you don't, you'll spend your whole life playing it safe. And then you'll get to the end of your life and you'll look back and think, oh my God, I wonder if that's what I did playing it safe. I wonder what would have happened if I actually just went all out, authentically being myself without any fear. I don't believe in regrets, so I don't think I would ever go back and change this about myself, because I think that it's taught me a lot and it's still teaching me a lot to this day, and I'm getting better and better at just like not giving a shit if people give a shit, you know? But at the same time, if I could go back and talk to the younger version of myself that felt like I had to like disappear in order to not bother anybody, I feel like if I could go back to that version of myself and say anything, it would be to just be happy, just be yourself, just stop being so afraid of bothering other people, especially if that's never your intention to begin with. If you're happy, be happy. If you're quiet, be quiet. Don't ever feel like you have to change who you are or hide away who you are in order to make other people more comfortable. As long as you're not actively seeking to make someone uncomfortable, you should just be yourself. You should be able to fully be yourself in all that you are, in all of your light. And if it bothers anyone, then let them go kick rocks and go spend their time doing something else, because as long as you are being your truest self, and as long as you know that no matter what, even if what you're doing is weird or wacky, or even if what you are doing is annoying somebody, as long as you're happy, as long as you're not, intentionally looking to hurt or bother anyone on purpose, then you're not doing anything wrong. The only thing that you could ever do wrong is to then just basically hide away, or, never actually allow yourself to fully be and bloom into who you are because of your fear of how it would affect other people. So I guess, yeah, that's my biggest insecurity, and that's kind of like why I guess I wouldn't say that I've never fully been myself on camera, because I'm myself on camera all the time. I would just say that the reason why sometimes I can be very consistent with just being myself, and then I'll go through phases where I kind of start to it's like smoke and mirrors. I kind of divert attention away from myself in the videos that I'm creating and the things that I'm creating, is because I'm suddenly very self-conscious of the fact that me posting a video about my morning routine is for some reason bothering Sally, or me dancing and being happy and kissing on my boyfriend in a video is bothering Susie. I'm aware of those things, and I read those things, and instead of being angry or offended by them, my chain reaction is instantly how can I not bother this person anymore? And that is a self-talk deeply ingrained that I'm really trying to unwire in myself, because I think that it's not a healthy way to live your life. And if I constantly continue to go on wondering how I can make sure not to bother anyone, I'm going to spend my entire life walking on eggshells. And not only that, I'm going to hold myself back from just being authentically happy. And that's, I think, in a lot of ways, one of the worst crimes you could ever do to yourself. So that is my biggest insecurity in life, and it's one that I still deal with a lot. I feel like lately, especially this month, in the last, I guess, little bit, working on these series, working on Back to Gist, doing Koze Dailies, it's made me get very comfortable with just kind of sitting down and rolling off my tongue just what I'm thinking that day, which has made me just get a lot better at being okay with just being myself and speaking my truth, even if that means sometimes I do swear, even if it means sometimes someone's not going to agree with what I'm saying. That's got to be okay, because even if someone doesn't agree, there's a big hop, skip, jump between disagreeing with somebody and someone annoying you. And so I feel like even when I do notice that I'm annoying people, I'm getting better at self-talking myself out of that spiral of, oh my God, I've annoyed this person. It's time for me to hide away. It's time for me to, dim myself down a little bit so that I'm not getting in anyone's hair or, plastering myself too much in people's faces. Screw it. Life is freaking short, man. We are living on a rock, orbiting a sun. We don't know why the hell we're here. We don't know what the hell we're all really doing. So, post as much as you want to post, sing as loud as you want to sing, dance as weird as you want to dance, and just be yourself, because I guess, I don't know. I'm just word vomiting, but at the end of our lives, none of it is going to be as relevant as we feel it is. And if you spend your whole life hiding away from everyone, especially hiding away the true parts of yourself, it would be a shame, because then no one will ever get to know the real happy, weird, wacky you. So there you guys have it. That is my Koze Daily Brew, the last Koze Daily Brew for July. That said, if you guys are curious what will be going up on this channel, I'm going to keep some coffee talks, maybe some yoga videos. Basically, there's going to be at least one video a week going up until September, so definitely stick around and turn on the notification bell if you guys want to see them. They're going to be always kind of within the theme of Koze videos, so there will always be some sort of takeaway. A lot of the times it'll be coffee talks, but I definitely, especially once I get yoga teacher certified, I want to start putting up some yoga flows on here and meditations on here as well. So let me know if you guys would even want to see that by leaving a comment down below. And aside from that, I hope you guys didn't relate to this video today, because I would never want any of you guys to feel like you're annoying anyone by being yourself. But if you did, just know that you have your own full permission to be completely whoever you are, as you are, and you always should be. And anytime you feel that fear of what other people are thinking of you, just remind yourself it says way more about Susie than it does about Sally. Yeah, I've said Susie and Sally way too much in this video. Aside from that, I'll talk to you guys all very soon, and also be sure to check over on the main channel, because that means Back to Gist is starting in just 2 days, guys. I hope you guys are so freaking ready. I've never been more excited in my life. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys all there and here at some point. Adios.